I have a lot of friends in Europe and across the world who dream of coming to America to work. And they have this picture of what it is and what it could become in their life. But once you do it, I'm curious about what your perspective was once you started working here. Did it change drastically?
No, at the beginning, it- I still think the US for business, there's nothing quite like it. For any business, really. I mean, Facebook, Google, Tesla, they're not in Europe. There's a reason why they're not in Europe. Here is not business friendly or anything. But for video, you know, I was, I moved there in 2016. So, and I was able to, I was hired by this company full time. The position was cinematographer full time for this agency. They hired me in January after they waited for me for a year, and the company kind of went bankrupt
Mm,
in August. But it's so dynamic. So they call you one day and they laid you off. They're like, "Hey, don't come to work tomorrow." Which in Europe is not like in Europe. In order to get fired, you have to screw up things like 3, 4 times before that happen. Where in
interesting.
America, they come to you. They're like, "There you go." So I was able to grow a very small salary, which um, 2016 Orange County full time. It was $42,000 a year. And
Okay.
being laid off, then I would, I moved to Utah, went working for another intern at the video department in another company, and I was able in 8 months there to scale it up to 60,000. And then after 1 year again, I moved back to California for another agency, and was able to get to 75,000. These things don't exist in Europe. Like
Mm,
it's impossible to be laid off. So everything is very static. We're in America, it's more like dynamic, and
mm,
this for full time position, which a lot of filmmakers nowadays sometimes do and accept. For me, it was the only option because you either loaded with money or there's no way you can just, oh, I'm an artist, I'm gonna go to LA and
right.
become a director. Like, and this was 16, which I was still paying $1,400 a month to live in. Um, 10 minutes from Laguna Beach, so it was a pretty good deal.
That
But
does, you can't find a deal like that anymore.
no, no, no way, no way. So, but then I moved to LA eventually after I shot the feature film with Nolan Kroll, that Psychosynthesis.
Mm,
It's on YouTube actually now. It's
hmm.
public, so everybody can watch it. And yeah, from there I was so excited. I was like, oh, okay, I'm gonna move to LA, and I'm gonna start in the industry, whatever. And
The
man, what I
dream.
found, yeah, the dream, and what I found, it was just like, I don't know. It feels like, in my opinion, I was in a point of my life where I wasn't a kid just starting out. So, I'm married, and, I'm not going to share a room with Gaffer and another crew, whatever, which is, there are things that you do when you grow up and you get out of college and you create your kind of team. And I was not also in a position to get an agent or to start, like do big stuff. I always did like a medium level, which, I'm more comfortable. I'm not really interested in doing like huge stuff. So I was in a position where it wasn't kind of, the budget were ridiculous. Like, oh, can you come on set for like $100 a day? I'm like, what the, like,
Wow.
super low balls, low offer, everything. It was really hard. It was like I worked outside LA. I worked in Europe. I worked any other place in the US. Being based in LA, but I think in LA I worked like 4 days. Met a lot of people, and what really was crazy to me is that I mean, if you're a DP, like a cinematographer, anyone in LA, any director has his own DP. There's
Mm,
absolutely no way that you meet a director that he doesn't have a team already. And this for me as well. Here I have my first DC that I always use, and any other part in Italy, in America, I have my people that I use. So it's extremely hard unless you start going out of college, doing connection there, and you grow up with a team that is going to become your director, your gaffer, your first DC. So it's an environment where you either go in that you're huge, so they want you
right.
there and you're going to get big gigs, or you're really starting out. If you're kind of in the middle, it's an extremely harsh, hard environment, very political too.
Hmm.
Found myself many times, and I there's some people that just swallow everything they hear, and I was just replying to these people. I don't care. It was just very political. Very, you have to think like them. You have to, to be in Hollywood, the industry, whatever. You have to do this, and that. But and I didn't really like it. But so strange environment. Also talking to big people, because I know people in union like top DAT, introduced me to top DP, and I mean a lot of them were very frustrated too. Like you watch Instagram, you think these guys do like all the top work, but the reality is that they post the 1% of what they do, and 99% is like insurance commercial. Which, yeah, you can play
Right.
around with Alexa or anamorphic, but you're still shooting an insurance commercial with all due respect for insurance companies. But yeah, so, I was able to see also that the other side that sometimes nobody really talks about.
Mm.
Um, and I mean, I'm glad I got out, and now LA is a disaster. I'm talking to people there that are not working for many months. All the shows kind of very slow. Commercials still something, but I know even big DP they're not working because they're not willing to take smaller stuff, social media stuff, and they're just not working.
Mm.
I'm sure there's plenty of people working too, but yeah, for me, then I moved to Florida, and Florida was a great environment. Everybody was friend with each other, collaborating. I was like, and in that kind of environment, I also, like, okay, do you need a first AC? Okay, I'm coming. I'm gonna be your first AC, but the pay were way higher because
Mm.
there was not a lot of competition. There was actually
Right.
period times where people couldn't find crew, and they were willing to pay you like whatever you said. So Florida was a really positive experience, much better in my opinion, than LA, which was, again, you either get in very big or you
Right.
just have to go. But yeah.
You said during this